Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Luke. This is the first time I've done a YouTube video, so please be kind. Probably going to make lots of mistakes, be standing in the wrong position, but just bear with me. So today I want to take you through my experience with using a male hair system. So unfortunately I was born with quite a severe widow's peak, which is where the hair comes forward from the recession lines. And over the last couple of years, I've suffered with a little bit of hair loss at the recession lines here, which is really accentuating my hairline, making it look a lot worse. So over the last couple of years, I've been considering things like hair transplants and seeing what that's all about. Obviously, they're very expensive. So quite in the early days of receding, so I kind of wanted to give it a little bit longer to see how my hair's going to end up before I go and spend a lot of money having all this filled in for it to then start balding behind as well. So thought I would give one of these male hair systems a go. So I've come across them quite often online, and basically what they are is, the long and short of it, they're a male toupee. You stick them on your hair. They should stay on, and I've never had one before. If you can see, this is all still my real hair, so we're going to find out, and I will follow this video up with subsequent videos to basically walk through my experience, maybe the first couple of months, maybe the whole first hair system, how I get on with it, what I found easy, what I found difficult, and what I learned. So you basically stick these hair systems on your head, and they stay on there and blend in with your natural hair, and they will create the hairline that you desire. I'll go through a little bit more about how you achieve that a little bit later. So I've done a lot of research on these. I've watched YouTube videos, which I found really useful. There's not much online that does complete walkthroughs and people's experiences. You see a lot of companies showing that their stylists putting them on people's hair, but not really much more information than that. But you can do it yourself at home, which hopefully I'm going to prove today, and I'm not going to end up looking really weird with wig or doll hair. So we'll try to get as realistic as possible, but I'll try it so you don't have to, give you my experience. So I think, for full disclosure, I have got 8 years hairdressing experience, so I'm a little bit more experienced in terms of your average person off the street that might want to try this. Well, I don't know, actually there might be other hairdressers, but I do have some some official training as a hairdresser. That being said, I've not done much hair probably for the last 3 or 4 years, so a little bit rusty. So I guess this is a professional hairdresser who knows how to do these systems, and this is people who don't. I'm kind of maybe in the middle a little bit rather than this top end. So I'll try it all out, and I'll make the mistakes so I look silly, so you can hopefully learn from my mistakes. So the hair that I'm going to be using today, I got online from N.L.W hair systems. So you can buy them on Amazon. So they have a Australia, USA and UK sites. So the reason why I went with these guys is I did a lot of research, and price and customer feedback and testimonials all came into it. So I found these ones for the price point, and the feedback seemed that was good for me. So I actually went to all these different Amazon regional sites and checked out all the feedback on all of them, because on the UK one where I'm based, there was only 10 feedbacks on there, so that wasn't really enough for me to really trust it. So I went on the other ones, and there was quite a lot more feedback on those as well, so I guess a whole nice rounded bit of feedback. I believe they come from China. But if you go on Amazon, they do hold them in stock. So I ordered mine last night and I got it today, so didn't have to wait very long. So this is the hair system that I went for, and this is what I got through the post. So it's French lace. which once glued down onto your head goes practically invisible. From the videos that I've watched, we'll find out if that's true today or not. It's all swept back, but this is human hair, so once it's wetted and you've got styling products and things in it, you are able to manipulate this. It can be manipulated with heat, which I tried earlier because I was a bit shocked when I opened this and it was all swept back, and I thought I'm going to look like some villain from some sort of cheesy movie. So it looks a lot thicker than it is in real life. So if you look, I don't know if you can see that, you can see through the netting. You see me through that, and that's kind of what you want. So you'll be able to see your skin through that. So it will help it become invisible, and it will look a lot more natural. You will have to cut these. Obviously, this is a 6-inch one in brown. This is a little bit dark for my hair. The light brown one on their website looked way too light and very, very gold, whereas this one's quite a dark brown, so quite a bit darker than my hair. So to combat that, I bought a hair colour. Just shop bought hair colour. I'm a hairdresser, I should not condone buying shop bought hair colour, they're not great for your hair, but it's a demi-permanent hair colour, so it's not permanent, it's in between permanent and semi-permanent, so not too bad for your hair, and it will probably use semi-permanent colour releaser, so it shouldn't lighten your hair. That's a problem with home colours, is the peroxide's normally way too high and it lightens your hair at the same time as trying to colour it, so you end up with a bit wish-washy colours, but that one should be okay. And then what I'm going to do is I will colour my own hair with that, and then I'll add some water and some conditioner into the whatever's left over and just run it through the hair system as well, which means that the hair system hair will pick up some of that colour and it will blend in with my own natural hair quite a lot. So a lot of the time you see, if you've tried to research any of these before, people go for a full halo section, which is basically from the front all the way to the back here. Now, as you can probably see, I'm not really thinning. I've still got quite a lot of hair here, so I don't really want to have to shave all of that off. So I'm going to cut the hair pieces into a diamond or a sort of a leaf shape, and just have it on the front of my hair here, just to soften my hairline up, and it will blend into this hair here with the colour matching. And it means then from one hair system I can cut multiple different pieces out, and then I can use them one after the other, which means that I get 3 times the use from one hair piece. So other stuff you'll need glue. So I bought, it's all wrapped up at the moment, I'm not very prepared here. It's called Ghost Bond. So again, do your own research. Just from my research, this is a lot smaller than I thought it was. It's in ounces, and I'm not very good with ounces and millilitres in the UK. So yeah, it's a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be, so I'll probably have to get another one of these quite quickly. But this one's got moisture control in it as well, so it will help with the sweating. It means that you can swim and you can get it wet and it shouldn't come off. You should be able to wear the hairpiece doing all of those activities, going to the gym. They do more extreme versions of this if you do a lot of sport or you sweat a lot. I've never used it. In my update that I do in a couple of weeks' time, I'll be able to give you some feedback on this. But from my research, this is the one that I decided to go for. You'll also need some alcohol. So this is just standard isopropanol, however you say that, alcohol. So I've got this for other uses around the house as well. So I will put this in a spray bottle, so you'll need some alcohol as well. You'll also need some baby wipes. I stop throwing everything everywhere, so water wipes. Right, so it's 2020, it's March, and we're in the midst of a coronavirus lockdown at the moment, so literally these were the only baby wipes that were available. Just to be honest, you just need something that you can rub that won't break apart, so just the cheapest versions of these. You'll need a comb, so just a standard comb. You'll need a brush. So I actually got, and this was $9.99. Oh, sorry. I'll go through prices. I'll put the prices in the description, the list that I put below, because I forgot to tell you how much the hairpiece was. So the hairpiece, I got it on special offer, and it was £99. So really good value for money for something that potentially could last. If I cut it into 3 pieces and each one lasts 2 months, 6 months, I think they say the lifespan of them is between 2 to 5 or 6 months, depending on how you look after it. So hence the brush. So this is a boar bristle brush. It's designed for hair extensions, so it really helps. It's got these big bits here, but I don't know if you can see, but it's got all these smaller ones on the inside as well that are a lot more flexible. They're not going to rip at the hair, and it's just going to basically help the hair stay in the hairpiece as long as possible. Also, being boar bristle, which is natural, it has cuticles like our own hair, so as I'm brushing through and my own hair has picked up some of its natural oils, it will go on to that hair system as well, and it will just help nourish that hair and stop it from drying out and breaking and becoming brittle quite as much. So I've also got a hairband. So this is for when you're fitting it. You want to keep your natural hair out of the way. Again, I can show you that as we go through it a little bit later. It's probably quite a good way to show. It's not too bad, but I don't like it. I don't like this hairline. It takes a lot of styling and a lot of fiddling around and way too much time to get it to hide that, and I don't like that. That's not good. Don't like that. So I got that. So I've got some cotton buds. This will be used for helping to apply that glue. I've not opened this actually, I don't know, some of them have a brush inside, I've not seen that yet, we'll find out together a little bit later. I've got some marker pens and some, so I've got permanent marker. Again, this will help make the template for cutting the hair system to the right size. Again, we'll go through that in a bit. I've got some, so I've seen people when they've done it before where they use the permanent marker on their head as well to mark it out, but I think it's just a little bit rough on your skin. I would probably be that person that it would stay there and not come off. So I'm quite into fancy dress, so I have got some liquid eyeliner that I've used for some fancy dress in the past. This was from Primark, I think, yeah, £1. And I'll use that to basically start to mark out where I want my hairline. This will basically come straight off with a bit of that alcohol baby wipe makeup remover, so that's soft on your skin. It's designed to be on your skin. I don't think permanent marker is, so I've opted for that instead. I've got a scalpel and some scissors. This will be used, so I've not seen anyone use one of these before, but I like innovation, so and some scissors in case this doesn't work. So basically what this is going to be for is, once I've marked out the hairpiece and the shape that I want from that hairpiece to go on my head, I will flip it inside out and I will use this scalpel to cut the netting. If that doesn't work, this is quite sharp, be very careful, like exercise health and safety. When you're using these kind of things, use some gloves, cut away from yourself, all that good stuff. If not, I've got these, which are a nice sharp scissors to cut the netting. My issue that I worry about with scissors is, as you're cutting it, not quite sure how they don't cut all the hair as well, which is why I was thinking, we'll see. We'll find out together. If it goes horribly wrong, it's my money wasted. I've got a razor. So this is when before you apply it, you have to be really, really brave, and I must admit I'm a little bit worried about this bit. Once you've marked out where you want the hair piece to be, I kind of want my hairline to come round, probably not quite like that, maybe to about there. I'm then going to have to match that up to the same on the other side, and then that is all going to have to be cut off and shaved down to the skin in order to put the glue onto your scalp and attach the hairpiece. Now, I've seen people try it before where they basically just cut small little squares out and they just fill in, but I think there's not enough of a bond over the whole thing for them to stay on for very long, and I want to be doing this maybe once, twice a week. I don't want to be doing it every day, like sleep too much, don't want to get up any earlier. Right, so I've also got some cling film, saran wrap, cling wrap, whatever it's called in different places, and this will be used to make the template. So what I'm going to do is, once I've bravely shaved my hair off, and I'll probably cry a little bit and you can see that, I'll wrap this quite tightly around my head so it creates, it's right against the skin, and then I will cover that in sellotape, which I also have. You all know what sellotape looks like. I'm probably not going to have to hold that up for you, but I'm going to wrap it in sellotape, and then I'm able to trace the bald bit and the bit where I want the hair. So when I take that off, that's a little bit more solid. I can then cut that out, and then on a more stiffer piece of plastic, use that as a guide to then make myself a lasting template. What else do I have? Right, okay. So I also have the alcohol. I can't remember if I said. No, I didn't get it. Excuse me. So the alcohol is going to go in here, because this is a spray bottle. So if you see me using this, I'm not using Beach Matte Texturizing Salt Spray to put a hairpiece on. This will be the alcohol in here. This is cleaned out and flushed through with water. It's just so I can spray it, otherwise you can dab it. So what you use the alcohol for is, once you've layered up the glue, it becomes very, very tacky and very, very sticky, which is exactly what you want to get it to stay on. The problem is you've then got to get it right first time. The second that lace comes into contact with that, it's going to bond and it's going to be stuck. So what you do is you spray the alcohol over the top, and that creates a barrier. So you can get that on, you can position it into place, and because it's net and it breathes, the alcohol will evaporate. Excuse me. The alcohol will evaporate off through it, and the tackiness will return. So it just gives you a few seconds to maneuver it into place before it starts to bond and sticks down. And then if you've got it wrong, you've got either a nice bold patch here or your hairline's down here. So we don't want that. So that's what the alcohol's for. I've also got some cotton pads and cotton buds. I don't know if I'll need them, but I've got them just in case. And I've also got some bleach and some peroxide. Now, you can buy bleaching kits. Now, the issue which I'm a little bit annoyed about, and I've seen in all the reviews people have mentioned this, is the knots. So when the hairpiece, the lace is obviously, you imagine it's like a dome piece of lace, the same shape kind of as a head. And they have long hairs, so mine's a 6-inch long hair, so the hairs probably be just over 12 inches. They loop them through, so they're in half, and then they tie knots around them, so they're knotted into the lace, and that's how they stay on the lace. Now, the knots need to be bleached, otherwise, because they're knotted, it's like when you sew and you create a knot, it's obviously, it shows more than the thread itself, it's thicker. And if that's against your head, especially at the front of your hairline, if you look at my hair there, where you see my hair going into my head, there's not little black dots. So if the knots aren't bleached and white, you'll see little black dots all in the hairline, and it'll basically make you look like you've got doll's hair, and make it look really, really unrealistic. So the hairpiece from N.L.W hair does advertise that the knots are bleached at the front, where you would be seeing that, and I've got it, and they're not, or they're not they're not bleached enough for me. So I'll see if I can show you. I'll find something white to show through. It's a peroxide. Don't know if you're going to be able to see this. This is really thick hair. I'm a bit worried about how thick it is. Right, can you see that? Yeah, I think that's showing up. So you can see all those little black bumps is literally going to make it look like you've got doll's hair. And I'm not massively happy about that. So I had powdered hair bleach at home. Ex-hairdresser, still sometimes do people's hair. Never get away from it. I had some at home already, but you can buy some in the supermarket or Sally's or your local hair depot that sells to the public. And what I'm going to do is turn it inside out like that and basically just put a layer of cream bleach all over this bit here to try and bleach some of those knots. Otherwise it's going to look really unrealistic and I'm going to look a bit of an idiot. Luckily, because we are in lockdown because of coronavirus, one positive is no one's going to see me for probably a couple of weeks. So if it does look really, really stupid, I'm going to have to shave all my hair off, and a couple of weeks it would have grown into a bit of stubble, and I don't know, just say that I was hot or something and my hair was getting on my nerves. But yeah, so I'm going to bleach that. You may get some bleeding through where it bleeds through the neck because that is quite a thin material. But I'm also colouring my hair and I'm going to colour wash this to try and pick up some of that tone. So if I do get any slight spotting coming through and the hair itself starts to get a bit bleached, I'll be able to cover it with that colour. This is also very long, so you are going to have to cut your own hair. I can walk you through some techniques to be able to cut your own hair as well. I actually went to the barber today and got the sides cut in because that's a nightmare to do yourself. But if you were just to wear this like this, you would, yeah. You've got a, can I speak to your manager haircut almost, so you don't want that. So, yeah. So yeah, you're going to need to cut that. My hair's relatively long, so I'm probably going to want it to cut it to about that sort of length, but I'm going to cut it to that sort of length to start off with because I know I get on with that length and I know I like that style. If I need to cut it a bit shorter, I tend to have it a bit longer because when I style my hair properly, I like to bunch it in, makes it look thicker and hides that a little bit more, what I'm trying to get away from. But because this is a lot thicker, I might not want to do that and I might want to cut it down a little bit, but I will walk through you with that and show you. And then when I do my first update in a couple of weeks' time, I will be able to tell you if I can cut it any shorter or how I got on with it and how the hair reacted to certain lengths and stuff like that, so we can go through all of that. So, right, let's get started. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is bleach the knots on the hair system. The reason why I'm starting with that, like I said before, I want to bleach that so they're invisible. That needs doing, annoyingly. And then if there is any bleed or spotting through the mesh onto the hair, I can then use the hair colour to try and get rid of anything that has bleached that I didn't want to bleach. So I want to do the bleaching first. I was toying with the idea about doing my hair at the same time to try and save some time, but the colour does go off, the peroxide goes off and stops activating after a certain amount of time with hair colour, so I'm going to have to just do it in two separate bits. So I'm probably going to do this off camera, but I will show you the finished result. So I'm basically using this Freeze Ice Lights packet bleach from a professional hair distributor shop, yeah. And then I've just got a bowl, so, and I'll mix all that up. I'm using cream peroxide to activate the bleach, and I'm using 12% just to try and get it I want them as light as possible, and I just basically want to get that colour done. I'll tell you afterwards what my thoughts are. I was toying with 9% because it's a little bit softer on the hair. The hair was advertised as virgin hair, which means basically nothing's been done to it. It's uncoloured. My hair is virgin hair. There's no colour or anything in that, and it was advertised as that, but it's really obviously not virgin hair. It's blatantly been coloured. No one's hair is naturally the colour of this. It's not unrealistic in terms of colour, and I think once it's on your head, it won't scream my hair's been coloured, but it's not natural. That being said, on the description, it did say if you wanted to colour the hair, and I'm assuming they're meaning lightening, that you were to buy the off black one. So they were probably meaning that one was the virgin hair, and not the one that I've bought. So I'm going to use 12%, and I'll let you know afterwards whether I think that was a good idea or not, or you should go down for 9 and maybe just leave it on for a bit longer, or have a couple of applications, because this is quite harsh on hair. The hair does feel in good condition, doesn't feel brittle, so I'm going to risk it. And so I'm going to apply that now, and then I'll show you the finished result once I've applied it. That will stay on for half an hour to 45 minutes. You don't really want to leave it on for longer than that. Then I'll show you the results are, and fingers crossed, we will get the results we want. Always wear gloves when you're using bleaching products. Not good for your skin, health and safety. Let's remember that. So I'm going to get on and do that, and I will be back in a tick. Right, so that's done now. That's what it looks like. So I've just, I probably need a little bit more. This isn't, I've got an assistant helping me with this. This isn't the easiest thing to do on your own, and try and, you shouldn't really have to do it at all when you buy something with bleached knots anyway. It should have bleached knots, but I could have probably sent it back and got another one, but I'm really, really impatient, and I was really excited about this all day, arriving, bouncing around the house. So right, so that's what that looks like now. When I've been brushing it, I've been really, really gentle with brushing it over. I don't want to push down because it will push the product through the netting onto the hair. I reckon some is probably going to go through, but we can deal with that once we put the colour on. Right, so I'm going to leave that for half an hour or so now. Hopefully that will bleach some of the knots out so they're less obvious and they don't look like I've got doll hair. So I'm going to go and have some cheese and crackers, and I'll be back in half an hour with hopefully this rinsed and nice bleached knots. Right, so it's been half an hour. I've left that on to bleach the knots. I must say they've not massively bleached up well, so my worry about using 12% peroxide on them and it being too strong was not warranted. I'm a little bit worried that they've not bleached up. Proves another point proving that it's not virgin hair, because if that was virgin hair that would have literally bleached right up, but it looks a bit of a frizzy mess because I've just blow dried it. But it does show that heat does change the direction of this, so it's not all, when it was all swept back before that, is looking an awful lot more natural now in terms of the shape. There is a couple of greys in this as well, so I must say all in all I'm not massively impressed, but we'll persevere. It had a lot of good reviews, which is good. There was a couple of bad reviews. See it? Yeah, the grey hair right there. There was a couple of bad reviews on there saying that they had ordered one and it had been great, and then the next one they ordered hadn't been quite so good, but they returned it, and the second one they sent out was a lot better. Maybe I should have done that. It does state though that once you've done anything to it, washed it, bleached it, whatever, you can't return it, and that's blatantly not the same. same as when I got it. So I don't think I can return this one now. So I'm going to persevere and move ahead. I'm not that bothered about having my fringe down a bit, which will hold some of hide some of those knots, sorry, those unbleached knots. But I'm basically going on what other people have said, or one particular other person said about bleached knots looking really, really unrealistic, I guess. I'll try it myself and I'll give you my verdict and feedback afterwards. So still a lot lighter, no bleeding, so nothing came through onto the wig. I did get a little bit of bleach on the hair and it's not lightened it, so it's been chemically processed afterwards with some sort of dye. Not sure it's been chemically processed with hair dye, because bleach would lift hair dye out of human hair, so this hasn't at all. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Bit of an experiment, probably being a bit more blasé about it on camera than I'm feeling, but we'll persevere and we'll go. So the next step now is for me to colour my own hair, because a lot darker. My hair normally is a lot darker than this. I don't quite know why it's lightened up recently. I have got an LED light right above me, so and that is a bit damp still, so it's looking a lot darker than it actually is. But I'm going to dye my own hair now, and once I've done that I will come back, and then the next step is to start shaving my hair, which is quite scary. Right, so that's my hair dyed. I put a little bit on the hairpiece as well. One thing that I did find is my hair's not gone quite as dark as the hairpiece. Don't think it's going to be too much of a problem. Looks darker in real life than it does on camera actually, but one thing that I did find is I put a little bit of the dye on the hairpiece, and it went a lot darker, whereas I wasn't expecting to do that, so I wouldn't recommend doing that if you get this specific hairpiece. You can probably tell it's the next day now. It's light outside. It was quite late by the time we finished everything yesterday, so we stopped for the night. And we're back this morning doing the rest of the day. Right, so today it is going to be the scary bit. I'm going to be deciding the shape of the hairpiece, where I want it to come to on my hairline here. The front of the hairline, what I would say is overshoot it a little bit, because once you've cut it out and it's on your head, you can lift it and trim it if you think it's too straight, or you obviously can't. If you've cut it up, you can't bring it back down, but if it's too straight, say for example it's like this and I'm looking like a Lego head, I can cut the corners off to make it more soft and look more natural. Once it's on, I can see what's going on. But yeah, so this is the bit where I'm gonna shave my hair off and start making the templates to be able to cut the pieces out from the hairpiece. So I had a comb somewhere, and just find that, I put that down somewhere. Alright, so I've got that now, taking it out of the room. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to wet my hair so it's more malleable and more controllable. So here it goes. I'm nervous about this bit. Not getting my hair wet, just shaving. So this is half the problem that I have. So obviously it's all well and good being able to style my hair as it is now and hiding some of this a little bit by sweeping my fringe over and bringing some of this forward. But if I ever go on holiday and go swimming or anything, the second I get in a pool, my hair goes like this, and that's, you know, you get all those people with those lovely holiday photos of them getting in and out of pools, and I look like a bald chicken when I'm doing that. So, right, okay. So most of the ones that I've seen in the past, and they might be right, I might be wrong, but I'm going to try it this way, is they tend to go across there and then obviously just do the hairpiece into a spike. But what I want to do is bring it back into my hair a little bit. So to do that, I need to find the center of my hair. Just about there. Need to be as neat with this sectioning as possible here, because right, and then what I want to do is in a triangle, I want to bring it to the front here. Yeah, so that is probably roughly where I'm going to want my hairline to join my hair, maybe a little bit lower here, but the difference is obviously it's going to curve a bit more, so it's probably going to be more like here, and it will create a sort of a match. So one way you can figure out where your hairline should be is if you raise your eyebrows as much as you can feel where your skin is a little bit squishier and softer and cushioned, and then there's almost like a ridge here, which is where your forehead stops moving. So if you have it too far down, every time you move your forehead, your hair's gonna move like that, because it's gonna push it back. So your forehead muscles do stop moving at a point up here, and if you can look there, that skin there's moving, but nothing up there is. So I reckon I can go to about there, and that's where I'm going to aim for, I think. And then obviously if it's too far down, look a bit Lego heady. Right, so that's one side. Need to do the same on the other side now and get that even. So that's not really that even. Spend as long as you need doing this, because once it's cut, and that's it. Then it's going to take that there. It's probably 6 months worth of growth, 3-4 months worth of growth. Obviously once you've cut it off, you're then going to have to try and disguise the fact that you've cut all that off if it goes wrong. Right, so I'm happy with that. That's relatively even now, so I can now use my hairband to hold that back, and that is the bits that I'm going to cut off. I'm probably going to just wet that a little bit more at the back stuff. I don't want to risk. I'm just putting some water on the comb here. Okay. So apologies, this is going to be quite a long video, but this is a big decision. This is a major thing to do, shaving all your hair off like this. So I must admit, when I was looking through YouTube at videos, I found loads that were like 5-10 minutes long, and I was like, ooh, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna wanna have more than 5-10 minutes worth of reassurance that this is all going to be okay. So apologies, I don't know how long this video is going to end up being, but right, okay, so and then now what's going to happen is once I've got rid of all that and I put the hairpiece on and I've cut it to the same length as I want it, because that hair there sweeps over, it's going to sit over the hairpiece a little bit and help my own natural hair blend in with the hairpiece and hopefully make it look a little bit more natural if there is that slight colour difference, but we'll see. Right. Oh, I'm quite nervous about this. Right, okay. Oh, so one thing that I forgot to do last night, you probably noticed, is I was originally going to cut the front part of my hair off so I could use it as a hair colour sample for if I wanted a custom made hairpiece. I literally put the first whack of colour all the way through it, and about 2 minutes later I was like, forgot to do that, so can't do that now, too late. Don't forget to do that if that's what you want to do. Right, so okay. I'm gonna start here. Very, very careful. No going back now. Okay, right. And you want to do this first because the razor, which I will eventually go in with just to clean all that up and give it the cleanest possible base for the glue to stick to, is not going to go through all this hair. So I'm trying to get the angle right in the mirror. I don't want to. I have got a cherry birthmark on my head as well, which makes it a little bit more difficult. Some raised lump there that not nice, but only covered by my hair. Right. I know if to laugh or cry. One thing that you want to make sure as well is if you do colour your hair, you want to make sure that the hair colour is completely off your scalp, because that is going to show through the lace. There we go. No going back now. I suppose I could get away with that, couldn't I? Yeah, I could get away with that if I decided it all went wrong, and yeah, it's nice. Right, so let me go and set it up for the actual shaving with the wet razor. So I'm going to use some shaving cream, lots of hot water. You want to use hot water with that one. So I'm going to go and set that up, clean this hair out of the sink, and come back. Right, so I've got everything ready for shaving now. I've gone for this one, the Wilkinson Sword Hydro 5, and the reason why I chose this one, I don't actually shave, so I've not bought a razor for years, is some of the razors that you get have got little blades on the back for precision, and you really want that, because obviously when you're getting right in there, you want to get as close as possible. Now, a lot of them, if you look here, have got this barrier at the top and these barriers on the side. So when you've got to just keep inching back and back and back. Oh, I probably shouldn't do that actually, should I do upside down? You have to inch back and back and back until you get it right. Whereas I looked at the ones with the little blade on the back. They were really, really expensive, but then I came across this one, which was a little bit more reasonably priced than some of the others. And this bit here, if you hold that forward, that bit flicks back, which means if you look, that blade is now an awful lot closer to the edge, which means it's going to be a lot easier for you to get in close, and it's not going to be as much guesswork. That being said, I have got my other half helping me with this, because it's difficult getting that angle yourself, and I'm not used to shaving. So I'm gonna do that, get that done. I don't think I need to give you a tutorial on shaving, because to be honest, like I say, I don't shave, so I'm not going to be good at it myself. I'm using a little bit of shaving cream, but not too much, because obviously this is really precise work. So I'm using shaving cream for the bulk of it, just because I don't know, I think shaving cream's a thing and you should use it. I don't know if it stops some sort of irritation, but I'm going to use that for that. But then I'm not going to use it here close to the edge, because I really want that to be nice and sharp and precise, because when the lace is cut, it's going to be a straight line, or that line. So I want it to be as precise as possible. You don't want any of your own hair going under the lace, because it will interfere with the bond, and it will also, if your hair parts, you'll be able to see your hair underneath the lace, and it will shatter that illusion of natural, real hair on your own skin. You don't have hairs running flat to your head underneath the skin that you can see, so we want to avoid that. So right, I'm going to get that done, and then I will be back. Right, so that is now all shaved, nice tidy line, not as V'd as I thought it was going to be, but I don't know why I thought it was going to be a much deeper V, but it's like that. Right, so the next step now is to make your stencil for your hair. And basically this is going to be what you're going to use to cut the hair piece out to your head size. So regardless to whether you do this or you have it all the way back, you're still going to have to make a stencil, because unless you get them custom made and the lace is exactly to your head size, which I think they're very, very expensive to have done that way. There might be places that do it cheaper, but everywhere that I saw, you were looking at £1,000 to have them actually custom made to the right size and colour and everything like that. So you're going to need to create a stencil, so you can put the stencil inside the hair system, draw around it, and then use scissors to cut it out. So I'm going to use eyeliner. And what I'm going to do now is, to start off with, I'm going to stencil out where I want my hairline to be. Now, like I said, it's worth being generous with your hairline and where you want it to be, because you can't put the hair back on once you've cut it, but you can take more off. So you can see how much of a V my hair was now. That's quite severe. Yeah. I sprayed a little bit of the isopropyl alcohol on my head as well afterwards. It didn't hurt as much as I thought it was going to, but it's always worth just making sure the area is nice and clean, and that it's disinfected as well, because you're basically afterwards, we're going to be putting something on there and it's going to be staying on there for a whole week. So let's get everything nice and clean. Also gets rid of all the oils off your head as well. You don't want any oils or anything left on your head. Not at this stage, it's not so bad, but when you actually apply the glue and put it on. So right, so I'm going to now start stenciling out, and then I'm going to put the cling film on my head, tape over it, and then draw this bit out over the stencil, and then the hairline that I'm about to draw in as well, with the permanent marker, because this eyeliner will just rub off the plastic of the sellotape. I'm actually going to get my other half to help me with that, because it's really difficult to do yourself. You can do it yourself, but you just have to be very good at angles in the mirror. Right, so my hairline starts, let's try and get this pinpointed, where you can still see, so my hairline starts here. Yeah, I think I want it to end about there. Yeah. Right, now to get that even on the other side. Right, yeah, so happy with that. Right, now that's the benefit of using the liquid eyeliner rather than a permanent marker on your head, like I said at the beginning of this video, because you see how easy that just wiped off. Might be proving myself wrong in a minute when I put the cling film on, and it might smudge it all, and then it's gonna be a nightmare, but we'll see. So right now, now I need to start drawing my hairline as to how I want it to be. Okay, so that's obviously very, very straight. That's, and you can see how much hair I'm going to gain. A little bit excited if it goes right. Right, okay, so that's obviously very, very straight. What you can do with lace, which you can't do with the poly hair systems, there's benefits, pros and cons to both of them. But with the lace, you can actually, once it's on, and if it's really, really straight, you can pluck the hairs out of the hairline, and that basically, just because no one's hair is just dead straight, even these celebrities you see with amazing hair that you look at and you're like, I really wish my hair was like that. If they were to pull their hair back, it's not 100% straight. Some of the hair comes forward a little bit, so you can pluck the hairs to make it look more natural. Or once I've got that on, like I said, if I start to think I look a bit Lego heady, I can lift the lace and just arch it a little bit more, but we'll see. Right, now let's get this one. I think that's straight. So this is going to be the tricky bit when you do the hair system, and it's why this line needs to be really, really sharp, because when you, yeah, I think that's straight. When you obviously match it up to your hair there, you don't want a gap at all, but you don't want it to overlap the hair either, because if it overlaps the hair, it's gonna lift, the bond's not gonna be as good. When you brush through it, it's gonna potentially yank the hairs that are half underneath it, and loosen the lace up, and it's gonna start coming off. And also, it's gonna not look as natural if you can see the scalp and you can see your hairs underneath it like we suggested before. So I think that is, the inside dimensions of that are relatively straight. We'll find out. We'll find out. Right, okay, so I'm gonna wrap my head in cling film now and tape it up. So I need to take this. I'm still in shock that I've done this. So scary, but it's all gonna work out okay. Faith, have faith. Right, just standard cling film. You won't, sometimes you buy cling film from the shops, or saran wrap, or cling wrap, whatever you call it. It's called cling film in the UK. Look at me being all optimistic that I'm going to get international viewers on this, but yeah, let's fingers crossed. Right, so you want one that is, I have a really bad relationship with cling film. I literally rip it off and then it turns into a ball and it's everywhere. So I've got a really bad relationship with this, can't use it. But you want that, you want one that's really statically charged, so it basically rubs in on itself like that, look. You see that's going around my fingers? Because you want it to stick to itself, so you want it on your head and you want it to stick to yourself, otherwise you're going to have to start taping it, and you will use a bit of tape, but you want to just tape it to secure it, not to actually hold it on. Look at that, it's behaved for me. Right, so I'm going to get a bit of sellotape and actually put that at the back so I don't have tape ready because I'm unprepared. But if you can see, right, there's literally no... Yeah, that eyeliner has bled a little bit, but actually it's not bled enough to make this not a worthwhile exercise to use that eyeliner. But you basically want no folds, no nothing. You want that to be as smooth as possible for when you do this. So I'm going to put some, my beautiful assistant is going to some on the back for me to take that up. Sat on the bathroom floor. Don't be shy with the amount you're using. Sellotape is cheap, but if this goes wrong, it's an expensive exercise. Right. Brilliant. Okay, so now the next step is to start putting this. Right, and you don't want, you're gonna have to layer this up a little bit to make it thick. You want it to hold its shape a little bit, you don't want it to be too flexible. You don't want any creases or folds in the tape. So you don't need to tape it to the shape of the hair or anything like that, because basically once it's, you want to over tape it to hold more around the outside here as well. So I'm going to probably tape down to about here, couple of layers of tape, then draw around it, and then I can take it off and the tape will keep the cling film in shape with the line that we've drawn on there, and then I can cut round that. And then what I've sugar. Just done what I told you not to. Right, don't not concentrate because I've got a line there. Now I don't think that's going to make too much of a difference, but you don't want too much of that. That's not going to come off because that's going to rip. Right, yeah, right. So just concentrate. So I'm going to pause this now and then take the rest of it because I want to be concentrating on this because, like I said, if it goes wrong, it's an expensive exercise to have to start again. But right, so I'm going to pause this, tape all of that over. Then I'm going to get my better half to draw around it for me with permanent marker because, like I say, the eyeliner will just slip off the plastic. And then I will be back to show you the next step. Right, so that's done now. That is going to be the shape of my hairpiece. I put an arrow that way so I know which way is the front. It should be quite obvious once I've got it off, but you never know. So now the next step is to take this off, layered this sellotape up quite a few times. Hopefully it will hold its shape once I get it off. Now the shape of my hairline that I'm going for is going to be this outside of the black line. Yeah, this is going to be the outside of the black line, so let's, right, fingers crossed this comes off in one piece. I really stuck that on. Head's got a bit sticky from the... Voila. Right, so I'm going to cut that out now. I'm not going to film that because I don't think we need lessons on cutting skills. So I'm going to cut that out, and then what I've got is this piece of harder plastic. Now this was the sheet of plastic that came with an aftershave set. You know, they're in plastic sheets because everything's covered in plastic these days. So that was that. You need a little bit firmer, but basically just use whatever you've got around the house. You want it to be a bit firm because once it's inside the hairpiece, you want it to be flexible enough that it goes in, but not so flexible that it screws it up. But you want it to have a slightly harder edge so you can draw around it. So I'm going to do that now. And I'm going to draw the line inside the hairpiece and do that. That's quite fiddly. I don't think we're going to get that on camera very easily. So I'm going to do that and then start again and show you once I've done that, and then I'm going to cut the hairpiece out, pop it on my head to make sure that I'm happy with roughly where it's sitting. It's really difficult as it is at the moment because it's one great big massive hair. Still is going to be a little bit difficult once I put that on my head because the hair is going to be a lot longer than what I'm going to end up having it. But I think you just need to have a bit of, you know, bit of judgment, check the hairline's looking okay, yeah, right, we're on this journey together, so we'll see how it goes. I could be talking absolute rubbish, but we'll see, right. Right, so I've cut out this now. I just wanted to show you before I went any further. Once you've got this cut out, you want to put it on your head just to make sure it's correct and that you're happy with it. So I can see straight away with that one, and the reason why I wanted to, I know I said I was going to get all of that done and then show you afterwards, but I thought this is quite an important step that you might want to take. So be happy that your hair, it's right up to your hairline, you're happy with that hairline. The reason being is because obviously the piece of plastic that you're about to cut out, not everybody's got loads of flexible clear sheets of plastic. So if you're like me and you've only got a little bit, you want to make sure this is right before you go stenciling it on there and cutting it out on there. Although saying that, this is quite solid. It is flexible with a hard edge, so I might actually give this a go rather than doing the plastic, and I'll report back as to how I found it. But I am going to have to straighten, so I'm happy with the back there, so that is right up to my hairline. Yeah, but from that distance on the camera it didn't look like it was, but yeah, that is right up to my hairline. It's not overlapping, my hair's not underneath it. But I can now see that that side is slightly off. I don't know if it's just the way the pen's gone. Do you know what? You can fold it in half. You can fold it in half and make sure it's the same shape each side. The front. Yeah, so it is off, there we go. So I am going to trim, yeah, it's just that one little bump there, it ends in the same place and it starts in the same place, that one little bump there. So I'm going to use that now as an opportunity to cut that straight. Yeah, right, I'm going to do that. Okay, so I didn't end up cutting out the solid template in the end because the tape made it solid enough and it had the curve of the head as well. So as you can see here, I've positioned where I wanted that. You can see from looking through here, actually the hair's nowhere near as thick as it looks. So I was a bit scared to start off with, thinking, well, that's a lot thicker than my own hair. It's going to look really stupid, but you can see quite a bit through it. And I think it's just because all this hair is bunching on top of itself and it's really long, it's just looking really thick, so it's not as thick as it looks. So I've drawn that inside there, and now what you want to do is you want to cut on the inside of the black line, because if you leave any of that black line on the lace, you're going to see it. Although I did do that with the liquid eyeliner rather than the permanent marker, so if you do leave any, it hopefully will wash off if any is left. But it's mainly along the hairline that you need to worry about, because as you walk around with your hair really pushed up. So when you're doing this, what you want to do is you want to look at the shape of the hair on the hairpiece. And like I said, this is can be manipulated by heat. It can be moved around, so you don't have to worry too much, but you want to look at the direction of the hair and how it's sitting, and to decide where you want the front. So on this one here, the front sits very flat going back, and I think that if I'm trying to blow dry my hair out to have a bit more of a quiff or a sweep back, it's going to go flat to the head before it then bends and comes back round on itself. So I didn't really want that, so I've actually done this back to front. So this is actually the back of the hair system that I'm using for my very first hairpiece. As you can see, I've only used a small amount of it, so I've got all of this to then play around with for future pieces that I want to use, but this is what I'm doing to start with, and then I will then cut maybe two more, maybe one more, but it depends on the hairline, because if you're really concerned about the hairline, like if for example you whirl your hair forward, that front piece there, which is leaning back, would be absolutely fine, because by the time that's cut down and not quite as long and straggly, it will sit over the front and it won't be quite as obvious, whereas I wear my hair back. Oh, I don't know, new hair could decide something different, but yeah, so I've decided on this, so I'm going to get that cut out now. Again, I'm not going to film that. I think you just have to use your best judgment and do your best with that. I've never done this before, so I don't think I'm going to particularly teach or anything, but like with other stuff, if I find that I would do it differently next time, I'll tell you how I did it, and then I'll let you know. So I am going to try doing this with the scalpel first, and if that doesn't work, I'll go in with the scissors. Now you need some really sharp scissors that are sharp all the way to the point. There's nothing worse than trying to do precision cuts with the point of the scissors where you can see and it just folds between the blades. So use a knife sharpener, or a whetstone, whatever you've got, however you sharpen your kitchen knives or your scissors normally. Use that to make sure they're really sharp before you do it. So I'm using professional hairdressing scissors. They are razor sharp all the way through, so I'm okay. I'm alright, Jack. But really use sharp scissors. You don't want to mess this up. Once you've started cutting, that's it. You do it wrong, it's not so bad. If you do it wrong and it's too big, because like I said, you can take more off, but if you do it too small or it becomes jagged, game over. So I'm going to get that done, and then we're nearly there. End result. Right, come back in a sec. So I've now got, can I speak to your manager hair? Right, so that's not stuck on. So that is basically now my hair piece. Now that's been cut out, that's to the same shape as the thing. Again, now it's cut. Let's get it behind the window. You can see it's nowhere near as scarily thick as it was originally looking. So the next step now is to start laying the glue. So discard that for a second. You don't do anything with that for a second now. But what you want to do is you want to wet the hair down. You want to wet the hair, this piece down. Get that hair wet, but try not to get the lace wet, because it will interfere with the glue a little bit. Not majorly, so don't worry if you get a little bit. It will interfere with the glue. So as you can see here, I've decided I want my parting on that side. That's where the hair naturally parted, so that's going to sit about there, and my hair will sweep over and that bit will go back. It is darker than my natural hair still, which is really disappointing, but I'm hoping once it's on and once it's cut and not quite as dense because it's cut, I'm also going to use some thinning scissors on it. It's going to blend in a little bit more, and once all this comes forward, and obviously this is all going to blend into it, that's going to blend into it as well, so hopefully it will just, I don't know what it's going to look like, we'll see. One thing you want to make sure as well is, you probably see me picking, the hair's sometimes reversed, and that is actually through the net. You want to pull them out, because again, like the situation with your own hair being stuck underneath, if that's all stuck underneath, it's going to look really unrealistic. I am a little bit nervous about the knots in this. Let's see if I can show you. You can see all those knots in there, and that's just going to make it look more unrealistic, unfortunately. So watch out for that. If it says it's got bleach knots and it hasn't got bleach knots, send it back. Although it's worth pointing out, the whole thing is like this, but they do only claim that they bleached the first inch, because it's just that bit that you'll see. So they bleach the first inch, and if it's parted, they bleach the parting as well, so they don't do the whole thing. This is from the back of the wig, because I think the hair was laying better for me on that, but just keep your eye out for that. Check it. If you've got your hair going forward and you don't really see your hairline, it's not an issue, but if you do sweep your hair back like I'm going to, it probably is going to be an issue. But once I've got it on, we're going to see how much of an issue that actually is. It could end up being nothing, so we're just going to have to wait and see and find out. So going to put that to one side now. I am going to go and have a coffee because I've been doing this for a couple of hours, tired. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to alcohol spray my hair, get all the oils off of that, and then start using this Ghost Bond XL glue. Little dots where you want it to go, smooth it out with a lollipop stick or whatever you've got that's going to smooth it out without absorbing the glue and become really gunky, and you don't want anything that's going to have lint on it or anything like that that could potentially leave residue off the applicator on your head. So we're going to do that. One thing that I've seen some people do and I've seen some people not do is, because you have to layer this up about between 3 and 5 times. The more you layer it, the longer it will last, apparently. We're going to find out in my second video, is after a week of wearing it. One thing that I've seen people do is they lay to your natural hairline or to the back there, lay that down, and then fold it back, and then it gives a more indication as to where your hairline is, so you can glue that afterwards, so you don't end up with glue residue on your scalp. Although one thing that I have also bought that hasn't arrived yet, that's apparently arriving today, is adhesive remover. So you're going to need an adhesive remover to clear the adhesive off your skin and off the lace if you want to reuse it. If you let it build up too much, it's going to show through and look really unrealistic. So I have bought that. That's arriving today in the post. I've had an email from Amazon saying that Royal Mail will deliver that today. I don't get my post until about 2-3 o'clock. So gonna have a coffee, laugh a little bit more about the way my hair currently looks, and then come back and start putting the adhesive on. And basically you put this on, it's white, you smooth it all over. Once it goes clear, you can then put another layer on. You do that 5 times and you leave it about 10 minutes until it's tacky, but when you press it, it doesn't come away with your finger. Then I'm going to spray it with alcohol spray so we get that maneuverability, put it on, and then we're going to go from there. And then basically that's it. It's part of your head, hopefully for a week or so. And then I can cut it in, see how the colour's matching. The next one that I buy, I want it to match my hair colour a little bit more. Although now I've coloured this, like I said, my hair's never going to go back to its natural colour. But it will grow out. But I don't want too dark a hair. I don't think dark hair suits me, especially not this time of year when, can you hear that? Especially this time of year when I don't have a tan. So, right, coffee, and be back to do the next bit. Right, So refreshed now, coffeeed up. I'm going to start doing the gluing. So I've not opened this, I took the plastic off around the outside, but I'm going to start gluing this now. I've got this is a stick from a Magnum. So I'll put dots on my head and then I'll use this to smooth it out. So what I might actually do, because I think I do want to get as close to the hairline as possible. I'm gonna, so you can see where I've cut this now, to be even. I'm going to hit a few dots here. He said this should wash off with baby wipe. It is more even than it looks, it's because of the black line of the pen on that side that it looks less even. So, okay. Oh, gonna have to spray this with alcohol now. And I've just put those lines on. Where have I put the cotton bud pads? So what you can't actually see is it's actually quite a mess in here from where I've been doing it. So hang on, let me just go and get the cotton pads. Got them. Right, so I'm going to spray alcohol. Burn a little bit from shaving, but I want to get this as clean as possible. Get all the oils, all of the sweat, everything off your head. We could have done a slightly better job shaving. So I have got a couple of hairs that I think are going to be slightly in front of the hairpiece. I'm not mad at that. I think as that comes through, that those are going to be the very, very fine baby hairs that are all along the front, which I think once they come through, that will look more natural. That stinks. Okay, so this will, I say, burn off relatively quickly. I can feel the wind on my head, which is an unusual sensation. Okay, so that's burnt off now. So I'm going to start applying the glue in sections now. I think this is ready to go. Let's try it. Yeah, it's ready to go. So I don't think you want this to clump. I don't know how much this is going to spread, so I might have put too much on, but let's have a go. No, that's all right. So you want to get as close to your hairline as possible without getting it in your hair. Although if you do get it in your hair a little bit, it's not the end of the world because it should comb out. So, because of the heat of your head, this will dry relatively quickly. And once it's gone clear, you can then put another layer on. I think I'm going to put it all around the edge and then work my way into the centre. Realistically, it's around the edges, I would say. Again, it's the first time I've done it, never done this before, never had it done by anyone professionally. I think if it's not as stuck in the centre, obviously it's not ideal, but it's not going to be as bad if it wasn't stuck around the edges, because around the edges is where you're going to see the lace and it's going to lift and then look really unnatural. Whereas if it came unstuck in the middle a little bit, if it's tight to your head, the edges are going to protect that from showing. Picked up a couple of hairs here. Right, and put the lid back on after every time you've applied this. You don't want that drying out. It's cost me £16, I think, this size container. Don't know how long that's going to last. We'll find out. The pot's not clear, so you can't see how much is left. So I'm just using this to smooth this out. This will dry clear, so you're not going to see it through it. It's getting real now. Right, so I'm going to do that, and I'm going to put this first time. I want to make sure that it's really on there, so I'm going to do 5 layers of this, and then once I've done that, you leave it until it's tacky and not stringy anymore. So when you press down on it, or not too hard, but when you press on it, you want it to be tacky, and then when you pull your finger away, you don't want strings or glue to come away from it. So I'm going to do that 5 times, and then once I've done that, I'll come back, and then we are putting the hairpiece on. We're going to see how it looks. So I'm going to do that and then come back. So that's 5 layers of the glue done. Lesson learned, putting the black dots for the eyeliner on there. Don't do that. The reason being is when I went around my hairline with the glue and it went slightly on the dots, or very slightly over them, it then creates a layer. So when I went to kind of rub them off, I've ended up with tiny little black dots that are right underneath the glue. When I was trying to get it out, it was pulling the glue up, and it was rolling it up and making it lumpy, which you don't want at all. You can see it a little bit there. Hoping that's just a tiny bit, will be okay. So yeah, so don't do that. I would, if you don't feel you can get the hairline where you exactly want it to be, I would probably recommend not going all the way forward and then doing the other method where you lay it down, brush it back, see what's left over. You can put the lace back down, see where it needs to go to, and then put it on again afterwards. It does take a bit longer, but you don't end up with black dots on your head, which real people don't have, so it's not going to look natural. So I'm just going to give this 10 minutes to dry, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to start putting the hair system on finally. Right, so that has been on for 10 minutes now. You can see where I've been fingering it there to do the test, and it's pulled up a little bit. I've done that in the middle, so you're not going to see it, but if you look here, that's not happening anymore, but it's still nice and tacky. So that's ready to go on. Whilst I was waiting for 10 minutes to put that on, the post came and my solvent remover came. So C22 solvent, great cleaner for scalps and hair systems, fast acting on most tapes and soft bonds. I've seen this one used quite a bit. It had some really good reviews online, so in the next video we'll see if this works. It also works as well, I guess, if you've gone down a little bit too far on the scalp and you put the thing on. Obviously if you leave the exposed glue, it's going to pick up dust and dirt and start to look a bit fake, so you can use this on a cotton bud, Q-tip, whatever you call it. Yeah, there's me again with the international watches. You can spray a bit on there and just use that to rub it off and clean that up a little bit, in theory. I've not done it myself before. Right, so moment of truth. Hair system. Right, so as I said at the beginning of this video, I've seen lots of people do this where they then spray some spray alcohol on it. It makes the glue, gives it a little bit longer to move it around a little bit. So I'm gonna spray that on now and then get it on, try and line it up. Oh, wet it down. Follow my own advice. Don't want to leave this too long on my head with the glue curing, because so I'm just basically putting some water on the comb and combing it through. So try not to get the lace wet. That's the front. God, imagine if I did all this and then put it on back to front, I'd be raging. This is really, this does not tangle at all, which is really, really unusual even for treated hair. It's a sneaky suspicion that they could have removed the cuticles off these, which is where they basically shave the very outside layer of the hair down. So hair has got scales like a fish normally, and when those cuticles raise, they catch on each other, and that's how hair gets tangled. That's why people, when they brush their hair in one direction, they brush it again and it's caught. Over processed hair, the cuticles raise and don't tend to sit back flat against the hair shaft again, which is why very dry, damaged, over processed hair becomes very, very tangly and knotty. So this is not knotting in the slightest. So I'm curious as to whether they've actually somehow removed the cuticles. Don't know the process for doing that, but I know it can be done. They've removed that off these, which quite a lot of hair came out of that. So I actually ended up, oh sorry I didn't tell you, so I actually did end up doing this with scissors in the end. The scalpel wasn't very good, I couldn't get the tension enough on it because the hair system's curved. So, right, okay, so here we go. Oh, moment of truth. Right, so I'm gonna put it on from the back first. Oh God, alright, so I'm running out of time now because that's way too, right, it's really hard to see. So you want to make sure there's no bumps or anything in the hair. Not in the hair, in the hair piece. On the mesh. Yeah, so I've got a bit front there that's lifting a little bit. Don't know if that's because there's no glue or because I'm brushing it back and it's not set properly yet. Right, so I can already tell I've done that off center. I don't know if that's going to be a huge issue. So there is glue there, so I think it's just not. I am going to pluck some of this hair out the front to make the hairline more natural, but that point there, oh, so you can see those knots. Oh, let's wait for it to dry down and see how it goes. let's not get too upset, because I ain't got a choice now, because I've got no hair left. So this isn't going to blend in with my natural hair at the moment because it's obviously a lot longer. Don't squidge down, don't push too hard against your scalp, because what you don't want to do is any of that glue that's still slightly squidgy, you don't want it to bleed up too much through the lace and go onto the hair, and then make the bits of the hair that are going into the lace, it will stick to them and make them go off in all sorts of weird, it feels secure though, which is good. It will make it go off all sorts of weird angles. So what I'm actually going to do is on the very, very front hairline, I'm going to use thinning scissors to go along that and create some baby hairs. That's what it looks like with really long hair. So although there is quite a few. But yeah, no, you can quite clearly see in this camera the knots in there, making that look quite unrealistic. Now I'm hoping that when I style my hair, the way that I'm going to style it is I'm going to have it sort of, I'll just have to figure out a way to style it so you can kind of see the scalp, but you can't see the knots as much. That really is on there. You can see the difference between that and my natural hair colour now, which could be an issue, but this is wet. My natural hair isn't, so I'm hoping that once that's the same length, it should blend in a little bit more. If not, what I might have to do, and I don't really want to because I don't want my hair. This has gone darker as well, so once I've washed it, I'm hoping some of that colour will come out and it will go back to how it was before, because I think it was more closer to what my natural, well, my coloured hair is, my actual hair. I think it was closer to that. So, I'm going to leave that for a few minutes to really dry down. I'm going to use that spray glue. I'm going to wet my hair down, use that spray glue, not wet, I'm not going to wet it. I don't know, I couldn't. So this ghost bond, it says quite clearly on the thing here, instructions and MSDS. I'm assuming that's data sheets available on prohairlabs.com. I went on prohairlabs.com and I couldn't see where that was available. You had to create an account with them. I don't know if once you create an account it's on there, but I need to just quickly look up again to see. That is closer to my natural colour towards roots. I need to look up to make sure that you don't have to leave this for 2 or 3 days once it's on. Yeah, once it's on, right, that's lifting. That, I think that's lifting because it's shifted to one side. This not centre, that's my fault. I'm going to put a bit of glue on there, stick that down. I'll put that on the end of a cotton bud and just shove it on there, hope for the best. And then, yeah, I don't know whether you can actually wash your hair. Some of the glues I've seen where you have to leave them for a couple of days before you wash your hair and get it completely wet. So I just need to quickly look up and make sure that's not the case with this one. But I can spray it so the ends are wet and try and avoid the lace. But it does, you can't feel it on here. It feels a bit tight on my head, but that's the glue. But it feels really secure. But right, so I'm gonna fiddle around with that glue, tidy up the edges, and then I'm gonna wet it down and then come back and I'm gonna cut it a little bit, and fingers crossed this will look more like my own hair once it's cut. I think it is a bit dark at the moment. Right, okay, right, we'll come back. Right, so that is now in place. I've fiddled around, I've glued the front edges down, I've done a little bit of trimming to try and make the front hairline not shockingly straight and look a bit more natural. Those unbleached knots are creating a huge issue in making the hairline look really fake, which is a massive, massive shame. I'm gonna cut it in. There's nothing I can do in terms of sending it back now, because obviously I've chopped it in, played with it, so let's just carry on because I'm now bald. So I'm gonna have to potentially buy another one now, and basically just say, look, this one didn't have bleached knots, make sure the next one absolutely 100% does, and basically just have to, like I said, coronavirus lockdown at the moment, no one's really gonna see me, but one thing that I did as well is, because this whole thing is shifted more than it should be, I ended up gluing a bit of my hair there, and when I just took it off, I pulled some of my own hair out. I'm hoping once that's dried and styled and stuff like that, it's going to be less obvious, that sheer contrast between my hair and this. But anyway, let's carry on. Let's cut. So I have cut my own hair in the past. I'm not amazingly good at it, but let's give it a go. Okay, so there is a slight lip at the back as well. It's too far back, so I failed, I think, on the placement of this, but obviously once it comes off after the first week, I can then fiddle around and hopefully correct some of that. I'm going to have a bit of a look round, because I used the back of this one. I think the knots are a lot worse on this than they were on the other one, so I think I need to have a good look. Yeah, you can see that quite clearly. It's too dark. If my hair was... We'll see what it's like when it's dry. Right. Okay, so you want to take sections. So my natural hair is here. So you want to separate that a little bit, but you're going to use your natural hair as a guide, unless you do want it significantly longer, then don't. So take your section, okay, here, brush my own hair into it so I can see my own hair through. You might not be able to see it on this, but I can see my own hair through there. So I'm going to point cut it. Alright, be really, really careful with this, and if you're using sharp scissors, because you will cut yourself and it will hurt. So I am going to go back in and use some thinning scissors on this afterwards. Now, thinning scissors are never a great idea with hair extensions, but because sometimes you get a very blunt line, but we'll see. I don't think I'm going to stick with this hairpiece, certainly not this bit of the hairpiece that I've already cut. I might cut, I think the front of it is a lot less, the knots are more bleached, they're a lot less visible, so I might have to use that. Although the reason why I use this is because I like the shape of the hair a little bit more the way the hairline was going, but I would rather have a slightly off hairline in terms of the direction of the hair. Sorry, not hairline, the direction that the hair is going. I'd rather that not be ideal than it literally look like I've got doll's hair stuck in my head. So we'll see. If I do that, I will show you another video of me doing it again. So you might want to subscribe, be my first subscriber. You might want to subscribe, and then you'll pick up when I redo the next stages of this. And obviously I've done this now, my hair's cut, they've not got much choice but to figure out a fix for anything. So if I do order a new one, I will review it again, see what the difference is between this one. So what I'm doing with this is I've cut it to the same length as my own hair back here. The second section, what I'm doing is I'm now pulling it back to meet that section rather than straight up. And the way you do that is that hair's now got further to travel, which means it will get a little bit longer as you get towards the front. It's a way of graduating the hair. I'm not doing very good at point cutting this because it's difficult at this angle, but you can always chop into it afterwards if it looks too blunt. So I'm just getting the basic shape now, and then I'll go back in afterwards, and once it's styled I can see if there's any heavy bits that I want to redo. There's no set amount of sections that you need to do, just take it so you can still see the hair through it. Don't take two big clumps of hair and try and go chopping it, because you'll end up with weird graduation that you don't want, because the scissors won't be able to slice all the way through that hair. The hair will move as it's cutting through, and you'll end up with, I suppose you'll get some texture out of it, but it might not look great. Yeah, this hairline's really obvious. Really obvious. Hoping that I can style it so it's not as obvious, but obviously the whole point of me doing this is so I don't, I was having to style it before to make my recessions not obvious. Now I'm gonna have to style it to make it look like I haven't got doll's hair. So I've basically replaced one problem with the other, which is not ideal, but we live and we learn. Thick hair, this. It's supposed to be medium light, so it's a lot thicker than I thought it was going to be. I was a bit paranoid it was going to be too sparse. Not the case. So I'm just playing around, pulling sections up now, seeing if I've missed any long hairs. It's actually sitting a lot better already. Now so the hairline's still shocking, but actually, to be honest, that's blending in with my own hair a lot better. It's a lot darker, but it's wet. And because this is processed hair, it's gonna hold onto the water a lot more. I want this along. Just excuse my really disgusting hygiene of putting that comb in my mouth with the hair on it. Sorry. Yeah, I've got hair in my mouth now, which is gross. across, and what I might do is I'm going to go and blow dry this because I want to see how it's going to sit once it's blow dried. I am going to run the thinning scissors through it though. Just to basically try, because my hair is not this thick, and although I want some thickness, I don't want it to look ridiculously, unrealistically thick, so. That was my own hair then. Whoops, it's not what I wanted to do. Concentrate, don't get distracted. So thinning scissors, if you've not used them before, they've got holes in them, so when you cut it, it doesn't cut all the hair. I had these already. That actually you can buy a relatively cheap pair in the shop or online. I think you can get them in Boots and Superdrug. It is holding on nicely though. It feels really secure. I can really see how these stay on for a while. Nearly cut my own hair again now. Right, I'm going to go away and I'm going to blow dry this, and I'm going to try and style it, and I'm going to come back and give you my final thoughts on this. I am feeling a little bit better now it's cut. It looks a little bit more natural. It is dark, and it's not just the fact that it's darker than my own hair. I think it doesn't suit my skin tone. It's too dark. I think some of that is from the hair colour that I put on there. So if I leave this on for a few days whilst the other one's arriving, because the whole thing is this colour now, stupidly, don't try and dye it because it tells you not to unless it's the off black one. So I didn't follow their instructions, so that's my own fault. I'm gonna have to have this on whilst I wait for the other one to arrive, a new one to arrive. So let's see if I can figure out some sort of style, but I do feel a bit better now. I don't think it looks as realistic as the ones that I've seen online. I can still see that lace. You can see that lace through because of the knots. So if you see where there's a hole, there's a knot, and that's shining black, and I think it makes the hairline look a bit, maybe if you stand. It's thick. Too thick, I think. Whoever thought that I would, like, after having thinner hair that was going back for years, I'd be like, too thick. But anyway, right, I'm gonna go and style it, see what you think, right? Right, so I've dried and styled that now. By the time I put some products and stuff in it, it made it sit a lot flatter, didn't make it look less scarily thick, but it is the wrong colour. You can see quite a clear divide there. Let me, you can see. I didn't sharpen the mirror as much. Don't think I'm bold in there. I've noticed that before. It's just the wrong colour. I think the hair itself, it moves nicely. The direction of it I like. It's the wrong colour, and those knots are absolutely horrendous. And they're making it look really fake. So I think if those knots weren't there, you wouldn't be able to see the mesh, and it would look, you wouldn't get this really harsh line, and I think it would just look a lot better. So I think I'm just gonna have to wear a hat until this new one arrives. So I'm gonna give it to the rest of the day. I'm not gonna leave it like this long term. I couldn't go back to work like this. Unfortunately, it looks too fake with the knots. Excuse me. I might need to buy. Yeah, and with the colour being so dark, which I think is a little bit my fault for. I don't think it's completely my fault. Because I actually didn't put any near the roots, and the roots are very dark as well. So yeah, you can see it quite obviously there. It doesn't blend into my own hair very well. Whereas if that was lighter and more the right colour and the knots weren't showing as much, you would not see that anywhere near as badly as what that is. And I think it's a little bit too thick still. It's really lovely to have this thick hair, but my own hair isn't this thick. I should imagine if I'd done the whole top, and that was obviously going all the way back, I think that would actually be fine, but then you've then got to then contend with the fact that you've gone from having no hair or thinning hair to massively thick hair. So if you wanted to have this thicker hair, I think you would want to buy a lighter one to start off with, less dense, and then the next one a little bit thicker and then thicker again, so it's not just no hair to hair, like literally celebrity thick hair. But yeah, I think there's a couple of things with this. The knots aren't great. I've got it slightly at the wrong angle, so I think that's coming over a bit further than it should do anyway, so my fault. It's too dark, and I can't remember what I said first, if it was too dark or the knots, but it's knots and too dark, and I've got it slightly wrong. So overall, I think this could go really well if those few issues were sorted out. That's too dark for my hair. It's not a natural colour. I've coloured my hair darker and it's still a lot darker. But right, I'm gonna sign off now, end this video, and then I'm gonna do an update with what I did next in the next few days or week or etc. So thank you for watching. And if you want to see my follow-up videos moving on from this, please subscribe. I hope you've learned some stuff from this. It's not that difficult to do yourself at home. I feel that the issues that I've had today with why this doesn't look really great wasn't my fault. So I think that the wig was not the right density and it is too dark, it's the wrong colour, and the knots weren't bleached. Although bearing in mind I did use the back of the wig, or the hairpiece, don't call it a wig or a toupee. I did use the back of it, so it didn't claim to have bleached those knots, but I did bleach them myself and it didn't even touch it, which makes me think that the hair is not virgin, so I should have been able to fix that myself. What I might do is I might take this one off over the next couple of days and cut the front of the hair, because the knots aren't as obvious there, and just see how much of a difference that makes before I decide if I want to go and spend 100 odd quid on a completely different one, which means this one was a waste of money, but we'll see. But regardless of whether this one was a waste of money or not, regardless of whether the front works or not, I wouldn't have been able to get 3 pieces out of it like I thought I was going to be able to. If the knots are this bad in the middle as well, it means that I would literally be able to use the front, which is kind of not what I want. So this isn't the only one they do at N.L.W hair. They do different lines of hair system. So I don't know, I'm not saying that the company gets it wrong and it's maybe just this one. This was the most economic one. This was the lowest price point that I found from them. But it did have lots of good reviews, so I could have got a bad one, or maybe some people aren't as fussy. If someone's got naturally dark hair, then I guess this might not look as bad, or if they've got more of a tan, the colour might suit them more, but not for me. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again in subsequent follow-up videos. And if you've got any questions or you want to point out I've got anything wrong or anything you want to do, sound off in the comment section below. Thank you very much.